I do that to my buses all the time at A&M.
All right.
Good boy.
You ready to roll?
Mm-hmm.
You ready to rock?
Mm-mm.
Let me make
Rolling,
sure we're
I'm good
recording
with.
over
Rocking,
here.
I'm not so sure.
What?
So rolling, I'm good with. Rocking, I'm not so sure.
Come on, man. Hell yeah. Diesel mechanic by day, Texas country superstar by night. Ladies and gentlemen, Montana Lane is here.
Howdy, y'all.
Montana Lane sounds like Texas. Now, real quick, I want to get this out of the way. In the elevator ride up, there was a guy that had on some skinny pants and some really shiny brown shoes. Were you... I knew you were. I knew you were.
I was looking at them shoes, man.
I can tell.
I looked at those shoes and I said, man, I need to know who works on those. 'Cause they need to look at my boots.
Is that what you were thinking?
I was thinking that. I don't know. I looked at his shoes, then I looked at my boots, and I looked at your boots, and you got your thread and your seams are real nice and white.
Yeah.
Mine are dirty.
Well, mine are brand new from Square to Toe.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well,
Sounds like Texas is presented by the great folks over at Square to Toe Boots.
I might just have to go check them out.
You should, man. We get you set up, dude,
Heck
for
yeah.
sure. But my question, I guess, would be, so diesel mechanic by day, Texas country superstar. Really, if you don't know Montana Lane, rock star by night. Which one gets your hands dirtier?
Oh man, I don't think I should answer that question. I'd say, dirtier looking the diesel mechanic. I don't know if we should bring smell into this or not, but
It's so funny. That's hilarious, man. So College Station is
Hey,
what
Will.
you claim, but
do.
you said also in that elevator ride that you grew up on County Road 464.
that's the one.
Where's that at?
It's outside of Copeland, Texas.
Okay.
So
Okay.
you know where Copeland is because the dance hall. It's about 5 minutes away from that dance hall, but for those of you that don't, it's between Elgin and Taylor. It's about 45 minutes east of Austin. And I grew up in the middle of nowhere.
And can I tell everybody where you live now? Because he's got a pretty cool setup.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So he lives right on the lake in Somerville.
Oh, yeah.
And we were also talking about how your boat currently doesn't run.
It does not.
Which is surprising because you're a diesel
you
mechanic.
Would think, well, it's a gas boat.
I understand that. I understand that. But you're a mechanic by trade.
Yeah.
So that's cool. Let's talk about your mechanic job because that was really interesting when I first met you, that you are the mechanic at A&M, right?
Yeah.
The diesel mechanic there? So you what is it that you do over there?
So we, as many of the Aggies know, we have, A&M has its own transit system, which is Aggie Spirit. We have a fleet of around 90 buses, and so somebody's got to fix them. And
Right.
there's currently 5 of us that do that. Then we have a couple guys over in the auto shop. But yeah, basically anything we work on mainly buses. I say mainly because we also work on the garbage trucks and any of the heavy machinery that A&M owns. We work on primarily to get it going again. We outsource sometimes, but that's what we do is we keep all the I work on the heavy side. We also have an auto side, and those guys work on anything you see that has A&M on the side of it, we fix.
Man, that's awesome, man. That's like a really cool job. And I didn't do this on purpose, but over the past several weeks, I've had a lot of guys on the show with College Station connections and roots and a history there. So you graduated A&M or you went to A&M?
I dropped out, man.
My man.
I was
and
actually
became a mechanic. I like how you switch it up. You're like, I'm not paying you, A&M.
No, exactly.
You're paying me.
It's funny that you say that because that's always how I tell that story is that, I went to A&M and I was actually on the track team. I was a pole vaulter, which you would not know that looking at me now. You wouldn't even know it looking at me then, but that's a different story. Everybody thought I was a thrower.
What's the highest you ever jumped in a pole vault?
In practice or in
officially? Like
17 and a half feet.
Dang, man.
It's up there.
Yeah.
It's up there.
That's crazy.
It's you kind of.
What made you want to do what was when the first time that you were like, man, I can do that? What was that?
Well, in case he hears this, it was actually my middle school coach, Coach Thornton, that told me, and I hope he does hear. I'm going to text him a link to this whenever it airs. But anyways, he told me that I would never be a pole vaulter, and that was a problem.
Yeah, you proved him wrong.
So I proved him wrong. I went out in middle school. I won every meet that we went to as a school in middle school. which is, big flex. I peaked in middle school, whatever. I didn't. Yeah, so I did that and then started running summer track and just kind of fell in love with the sport and all the people that came with it and ended up training up at Altius in Jacksonville, Texas for a while. And, the rest is history. I signed with A&M and went to college for it, won 4 national titles, won state my sophomore year. Junior year was COVID, so couldn't do any much there. Put on 20 pounds during COVID.
Well, I've put on more than that, so.
So senior year, it was kind of iffy, but I ended up I was out with an injury was why I sat on my rear the whole time and just put on weight, but ended up getting third at state my senior year. Went to A&M, redshirted my freshman year. Me and the engineering school decided that I didn't need to be an engineer anymore and lost my scholarship money for it because I didn't get any scholarship money for track and field. I had to turn it down because I was getting so much academic money, which is another thing you probably wouldn't know just by talking to me.
He's a smart fella.
But, yeah, so lost my engineering scholarship and tried to switch majors and couldn't afford it anymore. So I dropped out and submitted my job application, and now they pay me.
Man, I love that, dude. He said he was an academic scholar. That's very smart.
I was, yes.
What's the craziest thing that you've had to fix? Do you ever have anything like come through and it's like, I don't know if we're gonna be able to fix that, boys. Might as well just buy a new one.
All the time, and somehow we actually it's a running joke that we need to go take something and make a hard ride over the Brazos River on 21.
I love that, man. I love that. So what's one thing about College Station? I know you don't live there, but you spend a lot of time there. What's one thing that people who don't live there should know about College Station? What's like one thing that people, if you weren't a local?
Oh man, that's a hard one. Go to Fuego.
What's Fuego?
Fuego, it's a taco joint.
Oh, Fuego Tacos.
Yeah.
Is that gas station tacos?
It's not. It's an actual taco joint. They're open 24 hours, 6 days a week. They're not open on Mondays. So
I love how you know the schedule.
Oh yeah. Well, the biggest reason I know that is because it's a running joke with the freshmen. Anytime freshmen come in, we tell them all that Fuego has half off tacos on Mondays, just to see how many people
show up.
Yeah. So there's that. Also, if you're turning right from Texas onto University onto Texas, you have your own lane. Good Lord, you have your own lane. Don't stop. You're gonna get rear-ended.
I love too how you wore today a maroonish type shirt. It reminds me of the A&M.
Oh yeah.
But typically when you and I hang out Montana Lane, if you're just getting here, Montana Lane Sounds Like Texas, my featured artist this week, again presented by Square to Toe Boots. Most of the time, or the last time that you and I hung out, I believe you were wearing turquoise snakeskin.
Yeah, that's the one.
I love that, man. Pretty bold move to wear that.
Oh, yeah.
I absolutely love it. You're not afraid of rattling some cages.
Oh, not at all.
Get it? Rattlesnake? Yeah, I love it. What's the
Python,
story? What's the story behind that? I might know part of the story that you're going to say, but what's the story behind that beautiful jacket that you wore to the award show?
So I tend to be a little off the rails when it comes to my fashion sense. I like to keep it classy sometimes, but sometimes I like to be classy with a little bit of flash. You know what I mean?
I love it.
And it was a TikTok thing, honestly. I saw that jacket for the first time on TikTok, and I was hanging out with my stepmom and my dad, and I was scrolling through, and I saw that jacket, and she was like, "Oh my God, you have to wear that."
Yeah.
So I wore it. I forget what event we got it for. I know that I wore it to the TCMA Awards last year.
Yeah.
And then just came back from the T3R Awards.
How was that? So tell me a little bit about that. You're the first person that I've talked to that's been to the T3R Awards, which just happened. So what was the craziest thing that happened there while you were there?
Well, I mean, I didn't make it to bed until about 7 in the morning.
Earlier he told me 4. Now the story gets better.
Oh no, I was saying that anytime I've hung out with with Scotty, it ends up being no earlier than 4.
Oh, you did say no earlier.
Right. Yeah. So this time it was 7. It just happened to be, and 4 is early if you're with him. But yeah, so ended up there. We got kicked out of the Sheraton. It was me and a few other artists. I don't know if I should mention their names. But we got booted from the lobby at the Sheraton at like 4 in the morning because we were sitting around, had a picker circle going in the lobby at 4 in the morning, and they weren't huge fans. They weren't too fond of us for that one.
Understandable, man, but that's cool, man. Yeah, I saw everybody there. It looked like a great time. Let me ask you some Texas questions, because this show is all about Texas. Want to get some Texas questions out of the way. Which would you rather give up for a year? Whataburger or air conditioning in August?
Well, I thought you said it was a year. How is it just in August?
Well, you got one August.
Okay, we have a year-long
So
August.
it's basically 30 days worth of August, or 31, however many's in it.
Okay.
Or a year without Whataburger.
Well, honestly, it could be either one. I travel a lot, so I'm used to not having Whataburger. And then I'm a diesel mechanic, so like, as long as I'm not, because we're next to 400-degree engines all the time. So
you're built a little different.
Built a little bit different when it comes to the heat. I also worked in land survey for a summer, so that, I'm pretty.
I'd have to say I'd have to cut out the Whataburger. I'm not missing.
Yeah.
I'm not losing.
No,
anything.
if it had to be, I probably would cut out the Whataburger. I don't know. It's one or the other, really. But
okay.
Yeah, I'd probably go with Whataburger on that one.
Here's another Texas A&M question. If
right.
you had to replace your current band members,
okay,
with the offensive line of Texas A&M,
okay,
which song do you think that they could play day one, the first practice, without breaking your spirit?
Without breaking my spirit. Oh, man. That's a toughie. I don't know, man. I don't know. It depends on what offensive line, because if I get to keep Bryce Foster, we're actually buddies. He was a thrower when I was on the track team. But I know he's not there anymore. He's not at A&M anymore. Oh, man. That's tough. Yeah, probably Living Simple, honestly. It's Living Simple's a pretty straightforward tune.
Man, I got to tell you, it was your debut album, right?
It was. It was my very first album.
So Wings came out in January of this year, the debut album from Montana Lane, and that's the opening track.
That is. Living Simple is the opening track, and it is also our debut radio single.
Yeah, and the first song I think I ever saw you perform live, and I was blown away. In fact, when I saw him play it, he was at Henry's, and I was like, dude, I love that song. Play it again.
I think we played that song, 3 times that night? Because we played 3 sets. We played 3 sets at that show, and you made me play that song at every set. And
why was it... I know you put a lot of thought into the Wings album. Why was that the first song on the album?
It started it off with a bang, and it also kind of... So if you listen to Wings, and I didn't do this on purpose, but I was talking to... Brian called me, actually. He called me up, and he was like, hey, man, I love the order that you put the songs in. Like, the story's amazing. And I was like, the story? And so I went back and listened to it, and it honestly, everything, it comes full circle, because the first track is Living Simple. The last track is Simple Life, right? And so you start off with Living Simple, and it's like, okay, cool, it's my roots. It's where I started, Talks about fixing water lines and, working on Kubotas and stuff like that, and everything. So it was kind of this idea that, like, okay, we start here. Well, then you get into I, Myself, and Me. And I, Myself, and Me I wrote in about 15 minutes on a bus on my lunch break.
On a broke down bus?
Yes. Yeah,
nice.
I was fixing the bus, and I was on the phone with my dad, and we actually got pretty down and out about it was a knockdown drag out on the phone, because I was like, man, I'm tired of just feeling like I'm stagnant. I'm not going anywhere in life. Like, I see a door open and I go through it and there's a wall on the other side. Like, I'm so tired of this feeling. And he goes, write a song about it. And I went, you know what, I will. So I wrote I, Myself, and Me on a bus, and that's kind of the second one. But I, Myself, and Me is kind of this transition into, like, things are getting more complicated now, and, like, welcome to adulthood type thing. And so then after that, you have Same Old Song, and that's when the women start to get involved in the album. So it just turns into this story of, like, from start to finish, and then it comes full circle back around with Simple Life at the end. So yeah, I don't know. It's and like I said, I didn't do that on purpose. I didn't even think about it until Brian told me. But I also, I don't know if I've told you this or not. I don't claim to write my own songs. God writes them, I get to put my name on them.
Yeah.
And that's how I try to keep things, because if I start taking credit for my songs, I have a folder on my phone called the fire drawer. And most of the songs that I tried to write by myself end up in that folder.
Okay.
And those are ones that I probably won't ever touch again.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't claim to write my own songs. That's God's job. He lets me put my name on them, and it's pretty cool. So I'm just along for the ride, man.
Man, I love that. Montana Lane again. And if you guys don't know who he's talking about, Brian, that's Brian, the Red Dirt Aggie Show. So I want you to play. I think now's a good time, since we were talking about the music, for maybe you to play that first one. The first track, which is Living Simple, off of the Wings album, which came out again in January. It's available on all streaming platforms from Montana Lane. Again, this is how he opens the record. It's Sunday night. It sounds like Texas, and so does Montana Lane.
Living simple, but living large. Eat mac and cheese with new strings on my guitar. An old bloodhound and my 38 keep the boogeymen at bay. That's the way I was raised. I never bought a new car, nor do I plan to. My money's better spent on a new deer blind. So I keep rolling down this road till my old truck breaks down, or until I lose my damned old mind. I know my way around an old Kubota. I can splice a fence or fix a water line. But you'll find me in the honky-tonk when the weekend rolls around, at the bottom of a glass of Miller Lite. Living simple, but living large. Eating mac and cheese with new strings on my guitar. An old bloodhound and my 38 keep the boogeymen at bay. That's the way I was raised. Honey, you can try to tell me you've seen better. Tell me to cover up my pride. But I'm never gonna change the way I get the world to see me, or conform to a different way of life. Than living simple, but living large. Eat mac and cheese with new strings on my guitar. An old bloodhound and my 38 keep the boogeymen at bay. That's the way I was raised. Honey, that's the way I was raised, living simple. Thank you, sir.
Montana Lane, Living Simple, Sunday night, sounds like Texas, on 100.3 The Bull and the free Odyssey app. So I also I have a little bit of a history with Montana Lane because of Brian, the Red Dirt Aggie. But I wanted to ask you this question, and I know there's an answer for it. Okay. I don't necessarily remember the entire story, but I thought it would be cool to bring up. So, have you ever had to work on your own tour vehicle in between gigs?
Well,
was that yours, or did we call you and you helped somebody out?
Or
did both of those things happen?
Both of those things happened. Number one, so the cover of I, Myself, and Me, because I released it twice. One is a solo acoustic, and one is the full band version on the album. So we have the Wings version and the solo acoustic version. Anyways, the cover of that picture, if you go and look at wherever I have it out, is actually me sitting on a trailer with a black pickup on the trailer. That was my truck.
Okay.
I was on the way to work, and it was funny because we were like, oh yeah, we have all these ideas for, like, okay, I talk about my truck breaking down in this song and all this stuff, and so like we gotta find like an old pickup and make it look broke down and take a picture with it. So my dad was actually driving around our little county road block, looking for these old trucks, and got a call from me. Hey, my engine just exploded because it did. I threw my rod cap. The inside of my engine decided it wanted to be on the outside of my engine. So he gets a call from me. Hey, I just broke down. My engine blew up on Highway 6. I was on my way to work. I'm gonna go to work and change. Can y'all bring the trailer and take this thing back home? And we'll get to it when we get to it. I also need a car. And so when we have and oh my God, my grandparents have a Prius.
So that became the new tour bus.
Uh-huh.
Nice.
It did.
Hey, well, it's good on gas.
It's great on gas, and it actually saves you more money than just the gas because you save money. Sorry. You save money on gas because it doesn't use as much, and then you save as much, if not more money on dates and women.
Yeah, you don't get any of those
either.
at that point.
Yeah, no, it's great.
That's awesome, man. I love that, dude.
But yeah, so they came up and we got the truck back home.
Wasn't there another situation though where somebody like another band broke down and you like saved the day?
Twice. That would be the Wilder Blue.
Oh yeah, the Wilder Blue. Yeah, their van broke down.
Yeah, so because that's a bus, and I'm very much more in tune with their stuff than my stuff.
Right.
Because I have no clue how to work on newer cars, but I know buses. I know big engines. So yeah, they were playing at Copeland. This is actually how I met them. And whenever I can, I go sell T-shirts for them and work for them, but that's pretty few and far between now just because I don't have any time. Anyways, I was working at Copeland. This was back before I was doing, hardly any music at all. I was just bartending. And we get the owner of the bar comes in. And he was like, hey, these guys their bus broke down. They don't know what's going on with it. They need to, do y'all know any mechanics? And I was like, I'm a mechanic. I know this stuff. So I go out and diagnose it for them, and we get stuff figured out. And my dad actually spent 2 days with Zane Williams getting that bus fixed because they were, that was on either Friday or Saturday night, and I had to go back to work in College Station. So my dad helped them fix the bus, and we became friends. We started going to all their shows and hanging out, and then they pulled me off to work, sell merch for them and everything. So it's a cool experience, and those guys are awesome dudes. I love every single one of them, and super glad that I have that connection because they're, like I said, they're gold. But
it's like kind of a serendipitous connection too, kind of like you were talking about being a conduit, with your songwriting. That's like, I mean, what are the chances that you could help out Zane Williams and the Wilder Blue?
Right.
So that's pretty cool, man. I remembered it was a good one that I wanted to share with y'all.
And then the better one was I was on the way back from the state track meet, and I get a call from Zane. And I was like, that's weird. I looked at my dad. I went, Zane's calling me. He goes, well, answer it. I was like, okay. So I answered. I was like, hey, man, what's going on? He goes, hey, can I send you a picture of this thing that we think is broken so you can tell me what it is so I can get it from the Peterbilt shop? And I said, yeah, I can. Are y'all broke down right now? And he goes, yeah. I said, where are y'all broke down at? He said, we're in South Austin. I said, I'm in North Austin. I'll be there in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And so, we turned tail and we head back and helped them fix the bus. We stayed on that, but it was kind of cool because Zane was like, if y'all get it fixed, your dad has the address and you have a CDL, go ahead which you don't need a CDL to drive that bus, I found out later. But he goes, you've got that, your dad has the address. If y'all get it running and fixed and building air, go ahead and just bring it on down to us. And I was like, I get to drive Zane's bus. And so we worked on it for 10 hours.
Wow.
And my grandparents came up and in the Prius in their pickup. Which that, man, you could haul elephants in a Prius. I'm telling you, the big ones. Not that I'm, no free ads or anything, but but they hauled all their stuff to the gig for them, and they ended up making that one while me and my dad stayed back and worked on the bus. But yeah, I love being able to help people out and do things like that, and that's just kind of, as we mentioned in Living Simple, that's kind of how we do things,
Yeah, I get it, man. I love that Living Simple, man, because you are a great representation of that simple life and just honky tonky, man. I didn't even realize you were a bartender. Yeah, that's crazy, man. I mean, that's That's honky tonk history, dude. And you know
yeah.
that stuff's right up my alley, dude.
Oh, yeah.
I did not know that.
Oh, yeah.
You might have seen that already on the YouTube title because I might put that in there. But yeah, that was cool. A former bartender, a former Aggie, now working for A&M. Now you're in country music. Let's get back to Texas pride questions. You have to get rid of one of them. Barbecue boots or the back roads?
Oh, God. Can I just die? I don't think life's worth living without those things.
Yeah, I love that, man. We'll leave that there. So you're stuck on the side of the road with a broke down vehicle, and another Texas artist pulls up. Who do you hope it is, and why?
Oh, man. Depends on what the problem is.
Say you're just broke down.
Broke down?
But you can't figure it out. Who's coming to rescue Montana Lane?
Oh, man. I hadn't talked to him in forever, but probably going to say, why can't I think of his last name right now? Cody. Not Canada.
Hibbard?
Yeah, Cody Hibbard.
No kidding.
Probably going to get Cody Hibbard out there.
Okay.
Yeah.
He seems like a good old boy.
Oh, yeah.
He seems like he could fix the thing.
He is a good old boy, and I know I'm probably going to piss some people off by saying him just because they didn't get named, but, I mean, either him or Logan Ryan, man.
Okay.
Because they're both blue-collar boys.
Yeah. I love
Logan,
man.
Logan's a welder, and Cody's a recovering roughneck, so.
Hell yeah. I love that, dude.
Let's want some guys that'll get me fixed up and going, you know?
That's true. I'd probably commission those guys. Either one of those guys, I'd be happy with. I'd feel a little bit better if either one of them showed up and I was broke down.
Oh yeah,
that's for sure. Logan Ryan might have one of the best cookie dusters in Texas.
He might. He very well might. I don't know. Hayden's getting pretty close. Hayden Baker's getting.
I haven't seen him in a while.
Oh,
so
really?
I haven't seen that.
Yeah, he's getting pretty close. I'm working on mine.
Yeah,
we're getting there, but
I took mine off for all the young kids so they could have it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, how are we going to compete with you? You know.
That's very true. Very true, Montana.
I mean, how are we going to even try?
All right, so let me go through some of these questions here. We've talked about the grit that you have as a mechanic and as a musician. What were some of the early inspirations for you musically? I know that you play alongside your dad, and your dad's also a musician, so it kind of runs in the family.
Oh, yeah. I'm actually fourth generation, I believe.
Fourth generation musician?
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
So who got it started? Was it like your grandpa or your uncles
It was my dad's dad.
Okay.
So he was in the Church of Christ, and he was a bass singer.
Okay.
I don't know.
And if you don't know anything about Church of Christ, they do not allow instruments in the church. They just sing with their voice.
Right. Correct.
So being a bass in the Church of Christ is like you got some pipes.
Oh yeah, he could rattle windows. I actually have some old recordings of him because he was an auctioneer too.
Oh, awesome!
And so it was cool, man. It sounds great. But yeah, I have these old cassettes of him that I've digitized, and so I'm gonna try to at some point whenever I get any time at all ever, I'm gonna try to kind of clear those up a little bit, and there's some recordings of him singing too, and so I thought it might be cool if all four generations of us get to sing together.
Yeah, that would be super cool, man.
Yeah,
you should definitely do that.
Mm-hmm.
You should make the time to do that, man. I think your dad would appreciate that.
Oh yeah,
then the future generations would too. So
absolutely.
Montana Lane again sounds like Texas. Have the folks at A&M gotten behind your music?
Yeah, they have actually. There was a while back. There was a TV show I was supposed to do. And it was one of those things where I was going to disappear for 2 months or so. And like I was telling, I forgot who I was telling earlier, but A&M is pretty picky about us getting our time in for the weeks, which and don't get me wrong, we get plenty of PTO. We get a ton of PTO. And that's great, especially for me, like having to, come do things like this.
Right.
I'm on PTO right now. But, yeah, so coming and doing things like this, it's great. But they're really picky about if you don't have the off time for it, you can't really take off. And I talked to them. I was like, hey, there's this opportunity. I might be gone for 2 months if they pick up on me. Ended up falling through, but it went up to, I want to say it was the level, it went up to the highest level in my department, in the Department of transit or transportation. Yeah, transportation services. He went to the highest level of transportation services, and they were like, absolutely, you can take off for that. They were like, you have to, whatever PTO you have to burn that off, but you'll get the check for it. But yeah, you'll still have a job when you get back. And I was like,
love that.
Sweet, awesome.
I love that, man. That's
because
so
that
cool.
wasn't the question. The question wasn't, can I go do this? The question was, am I going to have a job if I go do this? And come back? Like, do I need to look for a different one, or can I stay here? And they were behind me on it. So, like I said, it ended up falling through. It's okay. But yeah, they're super behind.
Do you ever sneak a listen to your own music while you're working on those vehicles in A&M?
I hate listening to myself.
Okay.
I don't do it.
What do you listen to while you're working on the?
Oh man, so lately I've taken a liking to Old 60. So let me see what I let Spotify kind of pick for me. But I've been on Old 60 radio lately. I listen to a lot of Wilder Blue, obviously, being friends with them. But yeah, it's like Old 60, Treaty Oak, Flatland, White Flores, Red Clay Strays, Turnpike.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's where I'm at too right now.
Oh yeah.
That's awesome, man. Let me ask you, I want to do 3 things you never knew about Texas with Montana Lane, if you'll stick around for that. I want to get you to play one more song.
Yeah.
But before we get into that next song, where is it, Montana, that you want this thing to go? Like, ultimate goal, what's on the horizon for you, and where are you trying to take it?
As far as I can.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, I would like for this to be my full-time living. I don't, and it doesn't even have to be, and I talked to Brian actually about this, Brian the Red Dirt Aggie, if y'all watch an older interview about that, talked to him about this, but I just want it to be my full-time living to where I don't have to do anything else but do this. Doesn't have to be a glamorous living. I don't have to be living in mansions or anything, but I would like to be able to just do this and not have to work with my hands anymore.
Yeah, man.
That whole working for a living thing, man, it sucks.
Yeah. And you're pretty good at this whole honky-tonk thing, man. You're pretty good.
I would like to think so.
Yeah, dude. Well, that's awesome, man. Yeah, if you don't mind, do you want to play the second track off the record, or what song? What are we going to hear next from you before we get into 3 things you never knew about Texas?
You know what? I'll let you pick, Zach. We can either do the second track off the album, which we've talked about. That's I, Myself, and Me. Or we can...
that's your favorite song, right?
It's
on the record?
It's up there. My favorite song, it's probably going to be Wings or Same Old Song, but that's just because I'm partial to them for sentimental reasons. This
is your moment, man. So you play whatever you want, and I'd love to share it with the audience, whichever one you're into.
We might do a little sneak peek of our next...
Oh, yeah, the new one you were playing in Soundcheck. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Oh, yeah. So this is one, it's called Look At You. I don't have a timeline on it yet because I'm broke and don't know when I'm going to be able to get it in the studio, but... I'm about done filling my shotgun seat at a last call. I'm about through staring into strange new eyes. I'm about finished with all of this, taking just what I get. I used to need a lady, but I'm pretty much over it. And if I gotta give up on loving, then that's alright. Cause it only takes one woman to mess me up. I've got no business falling in love with a blue-eyed heartache and loose boots. And it's hard just to walk away, but think about the tears I save. I can tell your trouble just by the way you move. Well, they say the right woman's gonna come along soon if I just quit looking, but I can't not look at you. Don't say you need me driving you home tonight. You don't. Don't give me a choice I can't refuse. And don't give me that look like you're making bad decisions and coming any minute is a tricky proposition. Don't be giving me eyes telling lies I can see right through. Cause it only takes one woman to mess me up. I've got no business falling in love with a blue-eyed heartache and them sparkly boots. And it's hard just to walk away, but think about the tears I save. I can tell your trouble just by the way you move. Well, they say the right woman's gonna come along soon if I just quit looking, but I can't not look at you. I'll look at you. mess me up. I've got no business falling in love with a blue-eyed heartache in them rhinestone boots. And it's hard just to walk away, but think about the tears I save. I can tell your trouble just by the way you move. They say the right woman's gonna come along soon if I just quit looking, but I can't not look at you. I'll look at you.
Montana Lane sounds like Texas on the Taylor.
On the Taylor.
What was that song called again?
Look at you.
And that's going to be your next new radio single, right?
That's what the plan is currently.
All right, Montana. Here we do it. It's a little something that we like. I don't know about where you're at down there in Somerville and all that stuff, but in big cities like Houston, there's literally hundreds, if not thousands, of people that move here each and every day. And it's
terrifying.
easy. It's very terrifying. It's easy to identify those folks. But it's not easy let's put ourselves in their shoes because they're not wearing boots.
Right.
But
That's what a callback.
It's got to be hard to transition when you're coming to a state where the citizens are as powerful as we are. So we like to try to educate the newbies that are here in Texas with a little thing we call 3 things you never knew about Texas, just so you don't sound like an idiot or look like an idiot when you're out in public. If you're new here.
Perfect.
If you're a native, you'll probably know all this right off the rip. All right, so tonight in 3 Things You Never Knew, there's a town called Earth right here in the Lone Star State. We'll get into that. Also, Texas is a special state. We know that. We've talked about that. We talk about that every day, how special we are here. But
it actually comes up when we have coffee in the morning.
There's something that differentiates Texas from all other U.S. states. We'll get into that. And it's also, I don't know if you know this, there's rules. You can shoot a buffalo here, Montana.
Yes.
But there's rules to shooting buffalo. Do you know the most important thing that you cannot do when it comes to shooting a buffalo?
Well, I know you can't do it from the 3rd floor of a hotel.
Oh my God, this guy is a native. Let's get into it. 3 things you never knew about Texas with Montana Lane tonight. Again, there's a town called Earth. It's in West Texas. And the only thing flatter than Earth might be a bad vocal take, Montana. Let me ask you this. Have you ever played Earth?
I've never played Earth.
Texas.
I've played on Earth, but not in Earth.
Hey, do you think, Montana Lane, do you think aliens would enjoy your music?
I think they would.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a few. I shouldn't say that.
You're so funny.
We're gonna leave that one hanging. You can fill in the blank later if you want. AI it.
That's funny.
Say what I was going to say with AI.
All right, so Texas is the only state, again, to have ever entered the United States, to become a part of the United States of America by treaty instead of territorial annexation, okay? Montana, if you could write a treaty between country music and diesel mechanics,
oh, man,
what would the fine print say?
What would the fine print say? Good Lord. I don't even know how to write a treaty. I can't say I've ever written a treaty. I've written a lot of songs. I've never written a treaty. Man, it'd probably have something to do with, if you're a musician, keep your hands away from the fans.
Keep your hands away from the fans.
No fans, no razor blades, and I have the scars to show you why.
All right, and finally tonight, 3 things you never knew about Texas. In Texas, as Montana alluded to, it is legal to shoot a buffalo from the 2nd story.
Oh, is it 2nd story?
It's legal to do it from the 2nd story, but is it illegal if you shoot it from the 1st floor?
I don't believe so, is it?
It is.
Is it?
That's what it says, right?
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's what ChatGPT told me.
Oh, okay, well,
It could be
ChatGPT's
wrong.
right about everything.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, you can't shoot it from ground level.
Okay.
You got to be elevated.
You have to. Oh, so you can't shoot. You can shoot it from the 2nd story.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. You can't be on the 1st floor and take out a buffalo.
Okay. Well, That must have been why I was good to go in Hill County.
Oh yeah. Did you
guess
shoot
so.
a buffalo? Game wardens aren't watching.
No, I did. Well, yeah. There's a couple of them. I
Yeah,
know
they
that will
probably
be.
are actually.
No, I've never shot a buffalo personally.
Yeah, me neither.
I did have a buffalo.
I don't even like buffalo chicken.
I did have a buffalo. That's actually it was his or her name was Bambi. It was a dwarf buffalo, and it lived for about 3 days. It was cold born. It was born. My dad worked on a game ranch back in the day, old 8 Point Ranch, and they had a buffalo that was born with dwarfism, and it was too cold, so we brought it home and we put it in the garage under a couple of heat lamps, but didn't make it, unfortunately. We had some really good burgers that week, though.
Yeah, I bet. Oh, I bet. I bet. Let me ask you this. So if you could write a song so good that a buffalo walked up and asked you for a second verse of it, what do you think how would that second verse of the greatest song you ever wrote for a buffalo
Greatest song I ever wrote for a buffalo
go? Did you write the Baby Buffalo song?
No, I was 4.
Oh.
I wasn't writing music yet.
Right.
I was playing drums, but I wasn't writing music yet. Man, how would the second verse? Are you asking me to write a verse for a buffalo on the spot right now?
Yeah, I think I am.
Well, you can't roller skate in a buffalo herd. Man, I don't.
Done.
I think that's about all I got. Honestly, I have to get old Roger Miller back for that one.
Yeah. So again, Montana Lane sounds like Texas, dude. I just want to say thank you for coming.
Dude,
this
thanks
week.
for having me.
Hey, man, it's always a pleasure of mine. And you always have a platform here. You know that, man.
I
You can come back
appreciate it.
anytime. I'm excited about the new music. Is there anything that you'd like to plug real quick, whether it be your socials or an upcoming show or?
Oh man, well you can find me on Instagram at Montana Lane the Songwriter, all one word. That's Montana like the state and Lane like the kind of road.
Right.
There's no Y in Lane. And for some odd reason, I've had people ask me how to spell Montana before, and I handed them a map.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can find me Montana Lane the Songwriter on Instagram.
You still haven't been sent anything from an attorney about this merch?
I have not, because it falls under parody law.
Oh, great.
Yes,
I love
it's
it.
great. It's great.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, no, I love it. But yeah, it falls under parody law, so we should be good to go.
And where can people get this bitchin' shirt, dude?
Dude, you can get it on my website, actually, montanalane.com. If you go on there and go under shop, you should be able to find it. I actually need to make sure that it's on the website because I sold out of them a while back.
Yeah, I got it out of the back of his trunk.
He did. It looked like something else was happening back there, but it wasn't. Promise.
Hell yeah, man. So, again, I just want to say thanks, dude, for coming by and for playing those songs. I look forward to doing more things with you in the future, man. You're always around. You're like a part of the circle, you know.
Oh, yeah. I love it.
So it was cool to finally get to do some professional business with you here inside the Texas Country Network studios at Odyssey Houston. And most of the time we're out drinking beers and, you know.
Most of the time it's a party. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No, not at all. But we've been sipping on water and Diet Coke today.
Yeah,
so.
no, it's staying completely
I hope
sober.
everyone enjoyed it.
I do too.